I used to laugh at people who claimed their homes were haunted. I thought all the stories were exaggerations, tricks of the mind, or the kind of stuff lonely people told themselves to feel important. But nothing prepared me for what happened when I moved into the little rental house on Pine Hollow Road. Looking back now, I think the signs were there from the first day. I just didn't understand them. It began with a simple observation. The house didn't make normal sounds. Everyone talks about old houses settling, pipes humming, wood expanding, so I expected that. What I didn't expect was the quiet. The absolute, suffocating quiet. No creaks, no groans, no hum of electricity. The house felt like it was holding its breath. The landlord, a woman in her late 50s named Ms. Kerr, handed me the keys with a weirdly forced smile. "It's small," she said, "but perfect for someone who wants peace and quiet." She didn't look me in the eyes when she said it. I shrugged it off. Cheap rent, decent neighborhood, and a backyard big enough for my dog, Milo. The only odd thing about the house was the lack of an attic access panel. The ceilings were low and smooth. No pull-down ladder, no hatch, nothing. The house didn't have a second level either. Just 2 bedrooms, a small kitchen, a living room, and a long, narrow hallway that always felt colder than the rest of the house. My first night passed without incident. I unpacked a bit, ordered food, and fell asleep on the couch watching a documentary. Milo slept curled next to me, occasionally twitching his paws like he was dreaming. It was normal, comforting. But the second night, that's when everything changed. It was almost 2 a.m. when I woke up suddenly, heart racing. It felt like something had pulled me out of sleep. Not a dream, not a noise. More like a jolt of instinct. I sat up, rubbing my eyes. Then I heard it. Footsteps. Slow, heavy footsteps. Above me, right above the living room ceiling. My eyes shot upward. For a long moment, I sat frozen, listening. Another step, then another. Not a mouse, not a squirrel, not anything small. These footsteps had weight. Milo lifted his head, ears standing straight, and stared at the ceiling with a low growl rumbling in his chest. I'd had Milo for 5 years and never heard him growl like that. Not even at the vet. I muttered, No, that's not possible. There was no attic, no crawl space, no upper floor, no place anyone could walk. And yet, the footsteps continued. Slow, measured, almost searching. They stopped right above me, directly over the couch. My skin prickled. I felt a cold sensation crawl down my back. Then, after a tense, suffocating moment, the footsteps moved away. I followed the sound in my mind. They moved toward the hallway, then stopped, then came back and forth, like someone pacing, thinking, waiting. I didn't sleep the rest of the night. The next morning, I convinced myself it had been some kind of weird acoustic illusion. Maybe the house next door. Maybe a large raccoon had somehow gotten between the roof and ceiling. Unlikely, but possible. I tried to shake it off. Until that night. At 1:17 a.m., Milo began barking at the ceiling. Not normal barking. Full defensive barking. The kind dogs use when something is inside your home. I sat up straight in bed, heart hammering. Then I heard the footsteps again. Faster this time. More deliberate. Pacing above the bedroom. I whispered to myself, There's no attic. There's no attic. But there they were. Heavy steps. Heels striking first, then toes. A full human gait. And suddenly, it wasn't just footsteps. Something dragged across the ceiling. Fingernails. Long, slow, scraping fingernails. I felt sick. Milo whimpered and pressed against me. Then, 3 sharp knocks, right above my bed. I jerked backward so fast, I fell off the side of the mattress. I grabbed my phone with shaking hands and pointed the flashlight at the ceiling, expecting, a crack, a hole, something. But the ceiling was perfectly intact. Smooth, white, silent. I didn't sleep in that room again. By day 3, I was exhausted. I'd slept barely 4 hours in total, mostly during the morning when the house felt less watched. Milo refused to enter the hallway at all. He avoided looking up, avoided the corners of rooms, avoided the ceiling entirely. Animals know things, and I was starting to believe him. That night, I dragged my blankets to the couch and tried to watch TV until I passed out. It was around 11 p.m. when my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "You here yet?" I frowned. Who is this? I typed. A few seconds later, ceiling. My stomach dropped. I didn't reply. I turned off the phone and tried to calm down. Maybe someone was pranking me. Maybe the previous tenant had my number somehow. But then the footsteps began again, directly above the living room this time. Slow steps, as if someone was trying not to be heard. Then, a sudden, violent bang. I screamed and jumped to my feet. The ceiling above me bowed downward, just slightly, but enough for me to see. Something pressed against it. A shape, a hand, 5 long fingers silhouetted through the plaster. Pressing down from the inside, I stumbled backward, grabbing Milo and running outside onto the porch. I didn't go back in until sunrise. I confronted Ms. Kerr later that day. "I'm hearing footsteps," I said. "In the ceiling. Something's in the attic." Her face went pale. She looked like she wanted to run. "There is no attic," she said. I know there's no attic," I snapped. "But something's up there." She hesitated, chewed her lip, then quietly said, "I told them not to rent it again." "Rent what?" She looked around nervously. "Come with me." She led me to the back of the house near the old oak tree. There was a small, square patch of earth that looked wrong. Too flat, too new, like something buried shallow. "This is where the original attic ladder used to come down," she whispered. "What do you mean used to?" Her eyes filled with fear. "The last tenant complained of footsteps too. Said someone was living above him, but there was no space to live in. The crawl area was only 6 inches tall. No human could fit." My blood went cold. I whispered, "Then who's walking?" She shook her head violently. "Not who. What?" I stared at her, waiting for her to explain. "The tenant started hearing someone whispering his name through the ceiling," she said. "Then scratching, then knocking. He called me one night, screaming that something was trying to break through the plaster." "What did you do?" She swallowed hard. "I called the police. They searched the house. Found nothing, not even a rodent. And the tenant?" She closed her eyes. "He disappeared the next day." I stepped back. Disappeared. Gone. Vanished. The police assumed he ran off, but she pointed to the patch of earth. Before he vanished, the last message he left me said, "If you find me, I'll be on the other side of the ceiling." I felt the world tilt. Then she finished. So I sealed the attic access and buried it beneath concrete. No one should be walking up there. Not anymore. I didn't go inside that house again, but I didn't have a choice. I had nowhere else to go yet, and Milo was acting strange, staring at the ceiling through the windows and growling. That night, I tried to stay awake. Tried. Around 2 a.m., exhaustion dragged me under. I woke to Milo barking frantically. I sat up fast. Then I heard it. Not footsteps, not scratching, not knocking, whispering, right above me. A soft, raspy voice. "I'm out." My blood turned to ice. Slowly, so slowly, I looked at the ceiling. A long, thin crack had formed overnight. As I watched, it widened. Very gently, very quietly, something pressed through. A fingertip, then another, then 5, then a full hand, sliding through the plaster like the ceiling was made of wet paper. I ran. I grabbed Milo and ran out the front door without shoes, without my phone, without anything. I didn't look back. I didn't want to see what the hand belonged to. It's been 3 weeks. I moved 2 cities away. I'm writing this from a cheap motel while I look for a permanent place. But 2 nights ago, at 3:06 a.m., I heard it again. Above me. Footsteps. Slow. Heavy. Knowing. There's no attic here either. But it doesn't matter. Now it follows me everywhere. And last night, right before I turned off the lights, I saw paint dust on the motel floor. A small crack forming above the bed. Something whispering through. "Found you." I used to think shadows were harmless, just the dark shapes things made when they blocked light. Nothing more. Nothing alive. Nothing aware. But that was before I moved into the basement apartment on Milton Road. Before I learned that some shadows aren't created by objects. Some shadows create themselves. And some learn your name. I moved into the place during late September, when the evenings began to cool and the daylight hours slipped away earlier than expected. The apartment wasn't technically a full basement. Half of it was raised above ground level, with 3 narrow windows facing the back alley. They were too small for a person to crawl through, but big enough to let in a streak of daylight when the sun was angled right. When I first stepped inside, the landlady, Mrs. Griggs, warned me about one thing. "The lights in this unit flicker sometimes," she said, jiggling the knob like it needed extra encouragement. "Old wiring. But the bulbs last forever. Don't worry about that." I should have taken that as a sign. The way she avoided eye contact, the way her fingers tapped nervously against the doorframe, the way she left before I even finished signing the lease. All of it should have told me something wasn't normal. But cheap rent can blind you to a lot. From the beginning, I felt watched in that place. I'd be sitting on the small couch, eating dinner, and get the sense that something in the corner behind me was staring. Or I'd be doing dishes and catch a glimpse of movement in the reflective surface of the microwave door. But every time I turned around, nothing was there. You brush that kind of stuff off easily at first. New places always feel weird, but it didn't take long before the weirdness grew into something I couldn't ignore. It was the light bulb in the hallway. The apartment had a narrow hallway connecting the living room to the bedroom. One overhead fixture, one dim bulb, the kind that buzzed faintly like a trapped insect. Every night around 10 p.m., it flickered. Not randomly, no. It flickered in a pattern. 3 short bursts. 1 long, 2 short, pausing, repeating. I didn't recognize the pattern, but something about it felt intentional. Like someone was signaling, or knocking, or trying to communicate. The third night it happened, I was heading to the bathroom when the flickering started again. 3 short bursts, 1 long, 2 short. This time, I stopped right under the bulb and looked up. And the moment I looked, the flickering stopped. Like it knew. Like it wanted me to notice. My skin prickled with goosebumps. But I told myself electricity was weird in old houses. That was all. Until the shadows started moving. It started in the living room. I was watching a movie, something bright, loud, and intentionally distracting, when one of the shadows behind the TV twitched. Not a reflection, not a trick of the light. It twitched, like a muscle beneath skin. I froze. The movie continued playing, flashing bright colors across the room, but the shadow behind the TV grew darker, thicker, more defined. I blinked hard, hoping it would disappear. It didn't. Instead, it pulled itself upward, stretching long and thin across the wall, like someone dragging a brushstroke of black ink. My breath caught in my throat as the shadow elongated until it reached the ceiling. Then, it vanished. Not faded, not dissolved, just snapped out of existence like someone had flipped a switch. I didn't sleep that night. Not because I was scared, but because every time I closed my eyes, I saw that shadow creeping up the wall again. And I knew it wasn't done with me. It was only waiting, watching, the voices. The first time I heard one, I thought it was the upstairs tenant, a man named Carter who always stomped around like he wore cement boots. It was around 3:30 a.m., and I was lying in bed, trying and failing to fall asleep when I heard it. A low whisper, hoarse, dry, almost like someone talking from inside a closet. "Hey!" It was so faint that I wasn't sure it was real. I lay still, holding my breath. Then again, a little louder. "Hey!" I sat up in bed. My throat tightened. The whisper wasn't coming from above me. It wasn't coming from outside. It wasn't coming through the walls. It was coming from the hallway. The hallway where the lights flickered. The hallway where the shadow had first appeared. And right after the second whisper, the light bulb in the hallway began flickering again. 3 short, 1 long, 2 short, repeating. The whispers continued. A slow dragging sound followed. Something was moving toward my bedroom door. That's when I realized the whisper wasn't saying hey. It was saying my name, whispered in a slow, wrong-sounding voice. He, Dan, I yell. My full name, drawn out like it was tasting the syllables. My whole body went cold. I didn't get out of bed. I didn't speak. I didn't breathe. For nearly an hour, I lay still while the shadow crawled beneath my doorframe like smoke, and the whisper faded into a wet, rasping sound. When morning came, the hallway was empty, and the light bulb was burned out. The one thing the landlady said would last forever. At this point, I couldn't lie to myself anymore. Something was in the apartment, and it wanted me, badly. I tried calling the landlady. No answer. I texted her. Nothing. Finally, I knocked on her door. She cracked it open only an inch. eyes wide, face pale. "You still staying down there?" she asked. "Something's wrong with that place," I said. "Something's whispering at night." Her expression changed instantly. She shut her eyes and exhaled through her nose. "I told them that rooms should be sealed," she muttered to herself. "What room?" I asked. Her eyes snapped open. "Leave," she whispered. "Pack your things and leave before it learns too much." "What learns too much?" "I shouldn't have rented it to you," she whispered. "I'm so sorry." Then she shut the door, locked it, and refused to speak to me again. That night, the flickering lights didn't wait until 10 p.m. They started at dusk. Every bulb in the apartment pulsed in unison. Not random, synchronized, like a heartbeat. And every time they flickered, the shadows in the corners grew darker, more distinct, more real. I knew I had to leave. I packed my clothes, my laptop, my documents, everything I could fit into 2 bags. I kept the lights on the whole time, even as they flickered so violently they looked like strobes. But when I opened the front door to step into the hallway, everything went dark. Every light, every bulb, every single one, all went out at the same second. I heard a soft shuffle behind me. Then the shadows rose. They poured out of the corners like liquid smoke, converging into a tall, humanoid shape. Limbs like stretched ink. A torso that bent too far to the side. A head that tilted until it nearly touched its shoulder. I stumbled backward, hitting the wall. The shadow creature moved closer, dragging its fingers along the floor. When it reached the faint light coming from under the door, it didn't stop. It absorbed it, smothered it, blocked it completely, and then it spoke, but not in whispers. This time it used my voice, a perfect imitation, dripping with wrongness. "Daniel, don't leave me," I screamed. It laughed, a hollow, echoing sound. The creature stretched its neck forward until its face was inches from mine. But there was no face, only a void, a darkness deeper than any shadow, a swirling nothingness. And inside that nothingness, I saw movement, shapes, more shadows, more creatures, all pressing against the darkness, trying to push through. I forced myself to crawl toward the front door, hands shaking violently. But the moment my fingers brushed the doorknob, the creature moved with impossible speed. Its hand wrapped around my wrist, ice cold, draining, like all the warmth in my veins was being pulled out. I tried to pull away. It squeezed and whispered, "You let us in? Let them in? How? What did that mean?" I didn't have time to ask. The creature pulled my wrist toward its chest, and for a moment, my hand passed into its body, into the darkness. I felt things inside it. Hands, fingers, claws, hundreds of them, wrapping around my arm, tugging, trying to pull me in. I screamed again, louder this time. I don't know where the strength came from, but I tore my arm free and shoved the creature with everything I had. For 1 second, just one, it staggered. I bolted out the front door, ran up the stairs, burst into the street. I didn't stop running until I reached the bus station 3 blocks away. I didn't go back for the rest of my things. I didn't look behind me. I didn't breathe until I was far away from Milton Road. I found a new apartment within a week, 4th floor, lots of natural light, big windows. Safe, or so I thought. 2 nights after moving in, I turned on the ceiling light in my new bedroom. It flickered, not random, not electrical, the same pattern. 3 short, 1 long, 2 short. My blood ran cold. Then something even worse happened. The shadow in the corner flickered too, like it had been waiting, like it had followed me. And in the darkness, I heard my own voice whisper from behind my closet door. "Daniel, you left the door open. If you ever move into a new building, pray you never become obsessed with the wrong neighbor. Because once you look too closely, once you hear the wrong thing, you can't unhear it." That's what happened to me, and I swear, he's still outside my door right now. Listening, waiting, breathing. I moved into my new apartment in late September. It wasn't a dream location, but it was cheap, close to work, and had just enough charm to mask the building's age. The hallways always had this faint scent of disinfectant and wet concrete, the kind that never truly dries. But the place was quiet, shockingly quiet, the kind of quiet that feels intentional. I first noticed the strange neighbor on my very first night. His door, apartment 303, was directly across from mine. The number was worn, almost scratched away. The door itself had deep dents along the bottom, and the peephole looked cracked from the inside. I assumed someone before me had a dog or kids that beat the place up. I didn't think much about it. But what did catch my attention was that the lights outside his apartment were always off. Always. Even during the day, the curtain behind his door window looked blacked out, like someone had taped garbage bags over it. I remember balancing a stack of boxes when I first heard it. Breathing. Slow, heavy, muffled breathing, coming from right behind his door. I froze mid-step. My mind instantly tried to rationalize it. Maybe he was sick. Maybe he had asthma. Maybe he was leaning near the door when he heard me arrive. But the breathing wasn't coming from just anywhere. It was coming from the bottom of the door, as if someone was lying flat on the floor with their mouth hovering right near the gap. I try not to think about it. I unpacked, made some instant noodles, and tried to settle in. I turned on the TV to drown out my thoughts. But later that night, when I stepped into the hallway to toss trash out, the breathing was still there. Slow, deep, heavy. I leaned in, because curiosity kills common sense, and that's when I heard it. A slow inhale, a pause. Then, I can't hear you. I nearly dropped the trash bag. My feet moved before my brain did, and I ran straight to the elevator, heart thrashing. I didn't sleep that night. I told myself he was just some lonely old man messing with me. Someone who didn't want neighbors. Someone who liked scaring the new guy. But the next morning, when I left for work early, I noticed something that made me stop dead. A strip of paper was sticking out from under his door, like someone inside had tried to push it out. It was a ripped corner of a notebook. On it, written in shaky pencil, were 3 words. Don't talk back. I bent down, confused and terrified. Was it a warning? A threat? A plea? Before I could decide, something slid against the floor from inside. A finger. A pale, thin finger tapping twice against the floorboards before pulling back fast. I jerked away, nearly tripping over my own feet. I didn't go near his door again for 2 days. On the 3rd night, everything changed. I was brushing my teeth when I heard it, not breathing this time. Scratching, slow and deliberate, like fingernails dragging the entire height of the wall on the other side of my bedroom. My room was directly adjacent to his. I turned off the faucet and listened, my heart pounding. Scratch, scratch, scratch. Then, can you hear me now? The voice was clearer this time, as if the wall itself was speaking. I backed into the corner of my room, the toothbrush still in my hand. Stop, I whispered. The scratching paused. You came back. I'll live here, I said, voice trembling. You didn't leave. Why would I leave? I snapped, fear twisting into frustration. Silence for a moment. Then, because it's safer, my legs nearly collapsed. I don't want to hurt you, the voice whispered, but I can't control the knocking. The knocking. Silence again. Then, knock, from inside the wall. A second knock followed, and a third. Fast, aggressive. My entire bedroom vibrated with each one. Stop, I shouted, covering my ears. The knocking stopped immediately. Then, softly, he hears you now. Ooh, I whispered, but I already regretted asking. The voice spoke with a cracking, trembling breath. The man behind the door. I ran out of my apartment, barefoot, shaking, and didn't return until sunrise. The next day, I confronted the landlord. I explained everything, the breathing, the voice, the knocking. He didn't look surprised. If anything, he looked exhausted. He said something I'll never forget. Apartment 303 is empty. No, I said firmly. Someone lives there. He shook his head. It's been vacant for 13 years. I felt my stomach drop. It can't be vacant, I insisted. There's someone inside. Someone talks to me through the wall. Someone breathes under the door. He gave me this look, a mix of pity and horror. There used to be someone there, he finally said, but he never opened his door. Not once. Not in 3 years. Not for maintenance. Not for family. He wouldn't even come out when the fire alarm blared. What happened to him? I forced out. The landlord hesitated. We don't know. One day, the neighbors heard screaming, then banging, then nothing. When we finally forced the door open, the apartment was empty. Empty. No furniture. No belongings. No man. Just deep scratches on the walls. I felt my hands go cold. "He never left through the door," the landlord whispered. I went back to my apartment with one goal: pack my bags and leave forever. But when I reached my floor, all the hallway lights were out. Pitch black. Just one sound echoed: breathing from the darkness. Slow, deep, heavy, right next to my door. I fumbled for my phone flashlight, hands shaking. When the light flicked on, my heart stopped. The door of apartment 303 was open, just a few inches. After 13 years, scratches lined the door frame, fresh and splintered. A cold breath drifted from the darkness inside. Then I heard it. "You shouldn't have talked back." The door creaked open wider. A long shadow stretched across the hall, bending wrong, crawling wrong, moving like it had no bones at all. I sprinted down the stairs, not daring to look back. I never returned for my things. I didn't care. I left everything. But the worst part? Last night, in my new apartment miles away, in a completely different building, I woke up to knocking behind my bedroom wall. 3 slow knocks. Then, "Can you hear me now?"